Images circulating on social media show violent protest at Foxconn vast iPhone factory in China amid frustration over treatment of employees and how COVID-19 cases were being handled, including what they said were insufficient provisions of food. Well, the plant Zhengzhou plant is the world's largest iPhone factory with some nearly 2 lakh workers. The unrest comes as the Taiwanese firm Foxconn recruited an additional 1 lakh staff earlier this month due to an exodus blamed on alleged poor treatment of workers. The hiring spree comes at a time when Apple is facing significant supply chain constraints at their assembly facility and expects iPhone 14 shipments to be hit just as the key holiday season begins. Well, we see now that there has been a lockdown in China. COVID cases are increasing. At this point of time, I've been joined by Ambassador Suresh Kumar Goel to speak on this. Ambassador Goel, how do you view the development pouring out from China? One side there is the COVID lockdown, cases are increasing again. Workers of these iPhone factories now protesting against these strict restrictions on them. How do you react?
Well, China has followed a very strict zero COVID policy, and it's not just the iPhone factory, but they have done it in Shanghai. They have done it in various locations in Beijing also. The problem is that this zero COVID policy, particularly in iPhone factory, which essentially means that even in the iPhone plant, now if they discover there is a case of COVID within the factory, then people within the factory are not able to leave. They have to stay over there. They will make all possible arrangements. But combined with that also, zero COVID policy, I believe that there is a question about payments and the salaries to the workers in the iPhone factory, because iPhone production has been cut as a result of this policy. And as you know that they are actually now also branching out or shifting manufacturing facilities to other countries. India is one of the countries which has benefited from this policy. So it's a combination of various factors. What I suspect is likely to happen is that China will not relent on its zero COVID policy, but that is going to result in increasing or growing withdrawal of foreign investments from China. Yes.
Right, I come to Mr. Sanjeev Srivastava at this point of time. Mr. Srivastava, when we see that China COVID cases have jumped to another record high, this time topping the Shanghai outbreak that had taken place. On the other hand, there are massive protests that are happening because we had seen how people were locked into their houses, and this zero COVID policy that China is obsessed with. What solution does it now offer to people, because these protests will continue?
Actually, China is suppressing its people, and Xi Jinping, obviously China is a country which is having authoritarian rule, but under the leadership of President Xi Jinping, it is behaving in a totalitarian fashion. And this so-called zero COVID policy has given a lot of sufferings, a lot of pains to the people. And earlier we had seen various, photographs, images coming out from a city like Shanghai, which is a so vibrant city, but people have suffered because of this zero COVID policy of China. And in Beijing, in other places also, China is giving a kind of a very harsh, barbaric treatment to its own citizens. So it shows the kind of a very totalitarian way of dealing with the entire issue of corona. And obviously people's voices are being suppressed. They are not allowed to live freely, and obviously China is known for this kind of behavior. But certainly, it will make a very negative impact on the overall Chinese image in the international community. Investors' confidence in China will go down certainly if China continues with this kind of a treatment. And what is happening in this iPhone factory, which is a supply chain, obviously had been set up by this company, and if such a big company and its workers are given this kind of a barbaric treatment, then obviously it will create a very negative image about China in the international community. And obviously because of the various Chinese actions in the past, a lot of companies are thinking of coming out of China and they are shifting their supply chains to other places. And I think this process of shifting away from China might be expedited because if this kind of treatment which China is giving to the iPhone factory workers continues, obviously this will certainly be very, very harmful for the China's image and its economic, which is already in serious trouble. A lot of banks in China are facing severe problems, and China's economic growth has come down to about 3%. Then it will certainly be a very harmful for Chinese economy too, and they are having these troubles in advance, and obviously this will enhance the Chinese economic troubles in times ahead if China continues giving this kind of a treatment to the various workers of international companies.
Right, Major Shah, I come to you. Also, what are your reactions when China is finally now again rather locking down the iPhone city as COVID cases rise? As I likely said, this time the cases are higher than what we saw in the Shanghai outbreak and how China had reacted then, China's obsession with the zero COVID policy. Now China locking down its iPhone city. How do you also react and comment on this?
Well, Riyanka, you know, the Zhengzhou plant is the world's largest iPhone factory with about 2 lakh workers, right? The unrest which came in the Taiwanese firm Foxconn, they recruited an additional of 1 lakh staff earlier this month. And due to the exodus blamed on the alleged poor treatment of workers, the hiring spree which came at a time when Apple is facing significant supply chain constraints at the assembly facility and expects iPhone 14 shipments to be hit just as the key holiday shopping season begins. So China, most certainly, people over there are protesting because they could not manage their COVID problem. They could not look after the citizens. They are protesting against the Chinese. And Xi Jinping got a third term, so he is more interested in land grabbing than looking after the internal problems of his country and what the people are doing over there. So instead of taking care of the normal public over there in China, this is what China is up to. So certainly it would not be tolerated by people, and people have exposed them. Their own people inside have protested, and they have themselves claimed that their government was insufficient in managing COVID and looking after their own people. So they are protesting, in fact, violent protests. And I see that these protests would further go on and become further violent and become more brutal. In fact, you know, there have been a lot of rumors of Xi Jinping being, not now, a couple of months earlier, being under house arrest and the Chinese chief of army taking over China. All that is because of the unrest in China. There is a lot that is happening in the country, but what meets the eye ultimately is, China's aggression. China is trying to, because they are so incorrigible, I would say, because they, instead of looking after the internal matters, they are going ahead and trying to be over-ambitious and trying to become a superpower in less than no time. In fact, Xi Jinping had declared by 2050 they would be the #1 superpower in the world. But look what's happening inside their country. They cannot get that, they cannot attain their objective unless and until they look after their own people internally, Riyanka.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.